Well, hi, friends. It's me, Pastor Michelle, and I wanted to record the sermon from today, March 16th. And this is my sermon about Jesus and the mother hen. And so I wanted to keep my stole on, and I'm wearing my chicken shirt, and so it has chickens and I think a hen on it. Um, I wore this for today, and then a Golden Girls stole that someone made me because we get by with a little help from our friends. Thank you for being a friend. And so let's go ahead and here's my sermon for today, for those of you who weren't at church. So I thought, since I'm wearing the appropriate attire, that I would talk about chickens. And in all transparency, I have to say that I recently found out that a hen is in fact a chicken. Just saying. Something that, I just found that out. So anyway, I wanted to begin by giving you some fun facts about chickens. So here we go. So chickens, they have great memories and they can recognize over 100 faces. They can dream when they sleep. They're capable of at least 30 different vocalizations, and each one means something. The egg color is determined by genetics. So a hen's breed indicates what color egg the hen will produce. Chickens are evolved from dinosaurs, and they're actually the closest living relative of the T-Rex, which is a pretty cool fact. And by the way, I'm getting all these facts online, so you know they're true. There are more than 25 billion chickens in the world, and this number might not be exactly accurate because also some breeds of chickens have gone extinct or are going extinct. They're smart, and they can teach each other things. They love to play. They can fly and run very fast. And chickens, particularly hens, they can actually feel their chicks' pain. So hens can practice empathy. And I wanted to bring up empathy because empathy has gotten kind of a bad rep and people don't talk. People say empathy is wrong. And to that I just say, if empathy is a sin, well, let's go and sin boldly. And lastly, and I think this is the most important one, chickens, despite the reputation they have received over the years, chickens are actually some of the most courageous birds out there. And I love this fact because how often do we say, I'm too chicken to do that, or we call someone else a chicken? But in all reality, chickens are actually pretty brave. Now, and I think that's perhaps part of the reason Jesus chose the feminine imagery of a mother hen when he was speaking to the Pharisees. Jesus, I love Jesus. I'm just going to say it. I love Jesus because he was such a brave person and brave leader and brave prophet. And prophets are people who go bravely into the spaces of danger, even when they are afraid. And we know that Jesus was afraid. He cried in the Garden of Gethsemane right before his death. And he was so afraid that they say that like drops of blood were coming from his tears. Oh. So Jesus bravely faced the storms of life, even when afraid. And I'm sure Jesus was feeling fear in this moment, but he wasn't someone that backed down easily. And in our reading from Luke, we find that Jesus gets a warning from the Pharisees, and the Pharisees tell Jesus that Herod wants to kill him. And keep in mind that it wasn't that long ago that Herod was served the head of John the Baptist on a platter, literally. You see, Herod's wife wanted John the Baptist dead, and so of course Herod wanted to give his wife what his wife wanted. I guess asking for jewelry wasn't enough for her. little joke. So Jesus had to have known that threat was real. But oh, how I love how Jesus responds. He calls Herod a fox, which we won't go into exactly why he chose the fox. One can, assume like foxes are dangerous, are seen as a threat to chickens and all that. So that may have been why Jesus called him a fox. But he basically tells the Pharisees, go and tell Herod that, you know what, I'm going to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. I'm not backing down. He was going to keep doing what he was called to do, which was fight for a better world, keep turning the world upside down with his crazy, boundary-breaking love, the kind of love that sought to include more and more people, especially those who are among the marginalized and oppressed. So after Jesus says that to the Pharisees, Jesus has that moment where he spends some time lamenting over Jerusalem. And lamenting is basically a passionate expression of grief or sorrow. It's a powerful way to pray, because when you lament, you are boldly telling the truth. So I can picture Jesus with his hand to his face, and he's grieving, and he sees how and he says he longs to gather the people of Jerusalem under his wings like a mother hen gathers her chicks, but the people in Jerusalem are unwilling. And I like to think that Jesus has his palm to his face, right? Like this. Even now, as he looks out over our world, over our country, I can almost picture Jesus with his hand to his face, and he's like, what is wrong with you people? I love the one where he has his hand to his face and he's like, that is not what I said, or something like that. You know, Jesus is still doing some serious lamenting, as are we, right? We're lamenting over the world that could be. We're lamenting over the world that is. The mess. But thinking about this imagery of a mother hen, the image of God as a hen is one that lays bare God's vulnerability. When you're the mother hen, all you can do is open your wings wide enough and gather as many chicks as you can. But the thing is, you can't make the chicks come in regardless of how open the invitation is. You see, the hen is exposing themselves by opening their wings up. Having the wings wide open, that puts the hen at risk. But sometimes love means taking a risk for the people you love, and even taking risk for yourself. Love is about keeping our arms or our wings wide open and offering that shelter from the storm to anyone that might need it. And being willing to be that shelter for and being willing to receive that shelter from other people when you need it. Did I say that right? Okay. So this brings me to a scene from one of my favorite shows, This Is Us. And I'm not going to, obviously I can't show the clip, but what I will say though, is that in this clip, Rebecca is talking to her daughter, Kate, talking to the young Kate. And then it shows a clip of Kate when she's older, and Kate had just experienced a miscarriage. And so Kate was in a dark place. And so there's this scene, and they're in the hospital because Kate's brother had hurt his leg. And so they're in the hospital waiting for the doctors to come back to say how hurt the leg is and all that. And so Rebecca says to Kate in this beautiful moment, like, what the role of a parent is. And she says, because Rebecca had a really complicated relationship with her mom growing up. And she wanted to do things differently for her kids. And she was like, I think the role of a parent is to have your arms outstretched, open, and you just wait for your child to fall into them when they're ready. And she says to Kate, I'm going to love you if you fall into my arms, and I'll love you if you choose not to. But just know my arms are always outstretched, wide open for you to step into them when you need them. And it's such a beautiful scene, because at the end of the scene, Rebecca shows up at Kate's house and she falls right into her mom's arms. Her mom stands there on the other side of the door, arms wide open. And Kate just falls into her mom's arms. And I think about my own life. I've had some personal things happening, and I won't go into detail about them right now. But this week, I can't remember. But there was a moment where I was going through some really dark stuff. And I still am. But who did I turn to? I turned to my mom. I remember showing up at my mom's house, and there my mom was, arms outstretched, ready to embrace me. And I was ready to receive the love that only a mom can give. And it was a beautiful moment. And I think of that when I think about this clip from This Is Us. My mom's arms are always open, waiting for me to fall into them as I need them. And I think of that, and I think that's how God is, right? How this imagery of the mother hen, that God's arms are always wide open, ready for us to fall into them when we need them. But I want to point out this really important aspect of this, because sometimes people equate this mother hen imagery to God protecting us from danger somehow. There's even an illustration where they talk about how this hen, they find a hen after a barn fire, and the hen had died, was burned to a crisp, but somehow the baby chicks survived because the mother hen had gathered them under her wings. It's a beautiful imagery, beautiful illustration, but that's not always true. Because the mother hen, in all reality, cannot actually protect her chicks from being killed by a sly fox, from a fox that wants the chicks dead. The mother hen, in all reality, is not some superhero that can truly fight a fox. A fox is stronger than a hen. And I love that Nadia Bolz-Weber points this out in a sermon on this text, because she talks about how the mother hen imagery doesn't mean that God's going to protect us from all danger. Nothing keeps danger from being dangerous. And so she reflects on why the imagery of a mother hen is still important and still powerful. She says, if danger is real and a hen can't actually keep their chicks out of danger, then what good is this image of God as a mother hen if faith in her can't keep us safe? Well, today I started to think that maybe it's not safety that keeps us from being afraid. Maybe it's love, which means that a mother hen of a God doesn't keep foxes from being dangerous. A mother hen of a God keeps foxes from being what determines how we experience the unbelievably beautiful gift of being alive. God, the mother hen, gathers all of her downy, feathered, vulnerable little ones under God's protective wings, so that we know where we belong, because it is there that we find warmth and shelter. But faith in God does not bring you safety. Foxes still exist. Danger still exists. And by that I mean danger is not optional, but fear is. Because maybe the opposite of fear isn't bravery. Maybe the opposite of fear is love. So in the response to our own Herods, in response to the very real dangers of this world, we have an invitation as people of faith, as people who seek to follow in Jesus' way. And that is to respond by loving. End quote. Loving ourselves, loving God, and loving others. And I want to make it very clear that it is okay to be afraid. I don't think bravery equals immense courage and no fear at all. I like to think that bravery means we step up and we fight for this world and the people we love, including ourselves, and we do this even when we are afraid. Carrie Newcomer has a great song, I Can Do This Hard Thing. And I love the words of that song, and I love that. We can do the hard thing. We can do the hard thing of speaking out against injustice. We can do the hard thing of holding steady to one another as we face the difficult days ahead. We can do the hard thing of being brave, even when we're scared out of our minds. We can do the brave thing. We can do the hard thing of continuing to be brave and bold and loud with our love and our proclamation that God's love is for all, no exceptions. And you know what? We can do the hard thing because we don't have to do it alone. We can remember that God, the mother hen, has her wings outstretched and is just waiting for us to fall into them to give us shelter from the storm when we need it. And we too can be someone's shelter from the storm, and we can allow others to be our shelter as well. I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry. And what I really want to say is that remember that finding shelter from the storm doesn't guarantee that we won't get wet or that we won't feel the impact of the storm. So maybe it's better to say that we can find shelter in the storm, not from it. And finding shelter in the storm means something else, I think, altogether. Finding shelter in the storm means that you can find a solid place to plant your feet as the waves of life are crashing all around you. This is something we all need. And not only Not only can we find this from others, but we can be this for others too. Because life is not meant to be done alone. It is and will always be a team effort. And so, my friends, I pray that you find people and surround yourself with people that can be a shelter in the storm, not from it. Because storms in life are inevitable. Because life is pain. Life offers pain, but it also offers joy and happiness. But life is not just one thing or another. But as we face challenging days ahead, as we face any storms in our life, I hope that you find people and surround yourself with people and be that person too. Surround yourself with people who can create a shelter in the storm. So, my friends, just know that you are loved far beyond anything that you can imagine. And let's be brave. Let's be brave together. Always. Because I really think that we can get through anything life may throw at us as long as we are doing it together. I love you all. And may you never forget how beloved you are. And remember, be brave. Be brave.